Welcome to Write with Love. I'm your host, Sarah Williams, best-selling author, speaker, and creative entrepreneur. Each week, I chat to passionate and inspiring authors about their journey in creative writing. Some are traditionally published, some do it themselves. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone has something interesting to say. We all love love and love what we do. Today's show is brought to you by our amazing fans and supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the show and get some awesome bonus episodes, go to patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author to learn more. Now here's today's show. G'day, I'm Sarah Williams. Thanks for joining me for episode 73 of Write with Love. I'm recording this on Friday, May 10th, 2019. Today on the show, I'm chatting to Lauren K. McKellar, author of Australian romance, and she's also a very talented editor who I use and highly recommend to all of my clients. It's less than 3 weeks now until The Legacies of Brigadier Station, number 3 in my Brigadier Station series books, is released in ebook and print. I can't wait to share Lockie and Abby's story with you. It's available now to pre-order. And the audiobook version of The Brothers of Brigadier Station is done and just going through the hoops that are digital retailers. If you can't wait another month to hear the sultry baritone voice of Miles Pollard, you can buy the audio files directly from me for only $10. You can email or direct message me for those details, and if you want to hear a sample first, I've posted it pretty much all over social media, so go and check it out. In less than a month, I will be hosting a bunch of authors at my writers retreat here in Maleny. We have everything from really new writers through to USA Today bestsellers coming in, and I'm preparing a couple of workshops to present to them. They will also get lots of one-on-one time with me, and I can teach them individual advice and help them with their writing and marketing. If you would like to join me on a retreat, the next one will be held in the trendy beachside town of Noosa, October 18th to the 21st, 2019. It's strictly limited to 6 people, and we will be writing, talking craft and having fun. I will also show you how to make the most out of your advertising budget and boost your sales. All the details are on my webpage, sarahwilliamsauthor.com. Outback Heroes is the latest multi-author box set from Serenade Publishing. This time I've teamed up with fellow Aussies Suzanne Cass, Mel A. Rowe, Liliana Rose, Cheryl Wright and Philippa Neffrey Clark. And this time the digital-only box set is wide, so if you prefer to buy on Apple Books, Google Play, Kobo, Amazon or one of the other awesome platforms, then you can log in now and buy Outback Heroes for only 99 cents. If you love Australian rural romance, then you will love these 6 full-length rural stories. My best-selling novel, The Outback Governors, is included in this set. It's only on sale until the end of May though, so you need to go online now and buy it before it's gone forever. If you are an author who would like to be a sponsor of the show or get a shout out, send an email to me, sarah@serenadepublishing.com, or become a patron at patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author for more information. Right, time for the interview with Lauren. Enjoy the show and I'll see you next week. G'day and welcome to Write with Love. Today on the show I'm chatting to Lauren K. McKellar. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure. I know you from some editing work and reading your books, and I just can't wait to get into this chat, and hopefully we'll have time to cover everything. I'm not really sure if we will. So let's start off by you telling us about yourself and your writing journey so far.
Well, I guess I've always just loved books. I was always a huge reader. I remember being in primary school and I would read the dictionary in my spare time for fun. Like, that is how crazy into books and words and language I sort of was and always have been. And I used to fill up, like, you remember those blank exercise books you'd have to buy for school?
Yep.
For Christmas, I used to request my parents buy me blank exercise books so I could write my own stories down. Like, I've just always had that desire to write and love for reading within me, I think. From that point, I guess things just sort of grew. I've always kept on reading, and I stopped writing once I left high school. I used to do theatre in education, so I travelled around the country performing in primary schools, and I used to manage stand-up comedians. So I took a slight detour in my publishing journey. And then I fell back in love with reading and publishing, and I thought, I started working in editing, and then I thought, oh, I'll give writing a book a go and just see where it leads me. I hadn't really done any writing myself for quite some time, and I just was hooked by the writing bug. I couldn't stop once I started, and here I am now, some 16 books later. So obviously it's it snowballed.
That's it. And I couldn't believe it was 16. I knew there was a few, and then I just looked at your website. I'm like, 16? How do I not know more about you? Come on. So you're a hybrid author. So tell me kind of what that entails and what the breakdown of your books is.
So I'm hybrid, like you said. My very first book was published by Escape Publishing, Harlequin's digital-only imprint here in Australia, and it was a young adult novel. And I think that for my first book, I wanted that validation. I was new to writing, and especially because I was editing at the time, I didn't want to put out a book myself because I think I wanted someone to pat me on the head and say I was okay. I think as writers, we often all suffer from bouts of lack of confidence, and that was definitely me with my first book. From that point, I fell in love with the idea of publishing independently because I loved the control that it could offer you. So I did then release several independent books, but I've also since gone back to Harlequin, both Escape, the digital line, and Harlequin Mirror. And I've also had one of my books, one of my independent works, picked up by a French publishing house, Le Chat Noir. So I've definitely dabbled on both sides of the fence, and I think there's so much to love about both options. It's great to be independent and have the freedom to make your own choices, to set your own schedule, and especially because often with a publishing house, you do still have to do a lot of marketing yourselves these days. It's not realistic to think a publishing house picks you up and you're just going to get swept along on this wave of success. But having said that, I love working with a publisher because I love things like, I'm a bit of a type A nerd. I love deadlines. And I do like someone else setting the rules and also just the different options it can offer you. Obviously, having your book in a bookstore is a great thing. Not having to outlay the initial costs is also a benefit. So I've really enjoyed working on both sides of the fence.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think you've definitely had some really good publishers that you've been involved with as well. They are, two of Australia's best, so good on you. And that's really fantastic. So tell us about the types of stories that you write. So you've got some young adult still?
So my sort of brand, I guess, is romance reads that make you feel. I started working in young adult. I started writing in young adult. But since then, I've only done one young adult. The rest of my books are, I say adult, I don't mean heavily erotic, but they are adult in nature. Yeah, absolutely. So I did start, and that was a very similar journey to my editing journey. I started editing primarily in young adult for a few publishing houses in America. And then I had an independent author contact me who'd seen one of my, a book that I had edited for a young adult author. And she said, "Oh, hi, do you edit adult books as well?" And I just thought she meant a book for grown-ups. I didn't register that she meant something that was, a little bit more raunchy in nature. And so I was like, sure, send it through. And wow, were my eyes opened. But it became a huge success, an international bestseller. And from that point, the list of my adult romance clients certainly increased. And, since then I've worked with some Wall Street Journal, USA Today, New York Times bestsellers, and both for traditional and independently published clients. So it's been amazing.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I guess also being able to get paid to read really good books would help. I know every time I read a book, whether it's yours or Catherine Hines or Alyssa Cullen, I'm always learning, just going, that's so cool, and and especially how to string these sentences along and that sort of thing. And I'm just going to pause while I turn my freaking phone off because I normally do that early. And like if it's beeping now, it'll just keep going. So hang on. Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll talk about the books. So I'd love to talk about your rural romance books because they're the ones that I've read and loved. So let's start with The Vine, which is a Bindara Creek story. Tell us about The Vine, the premise to it, and what the inspiration was behind it.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for your kind words. You're really lovely. So The Vine, I've got a little copy here.
Awesome. So yeah, it's a cover on the if you're on YouTube, you'll go to see this beautiful cover. It's so pretty. I love that couple.
Me too. So The Vine was a group project organised by the fabulous S.E. Gilchrist, where we all wrote a series of books centred around the small town of Bindara Creek. And the premise for The Vine was for me about love surviving through the odds and with characters who were both damaged from different things. So the heroine Eva in The Vine, she has had her parents have passed away in a fire, and it's about how that sort of impacts her future, basically.
Yeah, and of course you've got a gorgeous hunky fireman in their book, so you know it's a really good book.
Look, every damaged heroine needs a also slightly damaged guy to come along and help her be the best version of herself. I'm also a big believer in the heroines of the story being the ones to save themselves, but having a strong hero there to help support them in that journey is always a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a fantastic novel. It's a fantastic series as well. And breaking news, you're going to hear it here first. Bindara Creek has had a few different books and short stories set there. And the next one that's going to start in just a couple of months is A Town Reborn. And Suzanne Gilchrist, E.C. Gilchrist, is heading that one up again. And the lovely Lauren K. McKellar is going to be writing for another Bindara Creek. And so am I. So that's pretty exciting. Do you know what your story is going to be and when it's out yet?
My story will be out in November for that one. And I am working on the story at the moment. It's going to feature, so as you mentioned, there have been other Bindara Creek, I guess a secondary incarnation. We did an anthology called Short and Sweet. And in that anthology, I had a little novella called The Widowmaker. So my novel that's going to be in A Town Reborn features a few of the characters from The Widowmaker, Isabel and Amy, and as well as a returned war hero. So, yeah.
It's very exciting. So that'll be absolutely brilliant. They're all going to be kind of standalone novels, everyone. So if you don't get to read them all, you'll pick and choose, but read them all anyway because they're going to be fantastic. So that's awesome. My book comes out in April and it's going to be called Songbird and has a singer in it. So that's going to be fun for me to write when I get around to it eventually. So the other book we're going to talk about is More Than a Promise, which I just recently finished and again loved. And that one's in the Mindleby series. Did I get that right?
You absolutely did. So these books were the same sort of premise in that they were organised by the talented S.E. Gilchrist and they again centre around a fictional town, although this one was about the town of Mindleby. So these ones were published traditionally, whereas Bindara Creek was independent. These were done through Escape and through Mirror in 2 different paperbacks, Heart of the Town and Here to Stay. And in this series, it was more focused on an event that happened to the town. So this series is based around a cotton mill and the cotton mill closing. And then everyone's story, while it could be read as a standalone, followed the journey of what happened to the people of the town after such a big, something that happened that had such a big impact on the township and the townspeople.
Yeah, fantastic. And it's a beautiful story, and I love the cotton mills and the cotton plantations and those sorts of things going through those stories, so they're beautiful. So you have this alter ego called Lauren Clark. which we've talked a little bit about. So you are also an editor. You run courses, and you've also put out books for authors. So you're my editor, and I just like to say I love you. I've worked with a lot of editors in my last couple of years of writing, and I just adore what you do to my stories. I like to say to people, she takes this kind of all right story and she just makes it amazing.
Would be nothing without your amazing bones, lady. So don't you go putting all the credit over here, because it's definitely you. It's you.
Oh, thank you. But you definitely help. And I always think that you learn more from an editor than any kind of coaching and mentoring. And I've definitely learned heaps from you and from your books as well. So I've got a couple of my favourite books from Lauren Clark to hear. Do you have any more? Or if there's more out there?
So I've also got the Novel Project Planner and the Novel Handbook in a non-spiral edition.
Yeah,
sorry, that was excellent. A bit scary for those of you who were watching on the YouTube.
So we can buy those books off your website, can't we?
Absolutely. I guess I started them because, as I said, I've been editing or working in publishing for more than 15 years, and I love the fact that I'd say almost all, maybe perhaps 2 clients, maybe 3, have not been repeat clients in that time. I feel so lucky to have such a great return business rate. But one of my favorite things is helping authors grow and develop their skill set. And that's why I started with the courses, the nonfiction products like the books, and I also do offer coaching as well, because I really love just working closely together and going and helping authors go from strength to strength. So the Novel Handbook was created as a way to help people just keep track of all those bits and pieces that they need about their novel. So things from character names to locations, to make sure that your hero doesn't have brown eyes on page 1 and green eyes on page 2. So it's just a really handy note-keeping tool, I like to think.
Yeah.
And as for the project planner, this is more of a daily planner. So it's got some motivation tips and places where you can write down your goals, and more importantly, your achievements, because I think as well, you know, we place such a huge pressure on hitting a word count as authors, but then we don't always celebrate those things. And you know what? No one's going into writing thinking, this is going to be my quick fix it to my financial problems. While it can be really financially rewarding, for a lot of us, so much like blood, sweat and tears goes into this profession, and we don't celebrate the small things enough. So that's part of what this book is about. It's about celebrating those small things and owning all the successes along the way to becoming a published author.
Oh, that's fantastic. Gosh. And I love those books. They've been really, really helpful to me. And like I said, I love your work. But you're, booked out 12 months in advance with my stuff. So,
It's true. But last year I did expand. And so now I do actually have a few people working under me who have very similar style, and I do check-ins on their work all the time. So it's been great in my team, because I just was getting sad saying no. So basically,
and I know that with Serenade Publishing, I've been mentoring a lot of authors this year and last year, and taking on new authors who I'm publishing too. And it's basically in the contract now. This is the editor you use. This is the cover designer you use. If you want to use someone else, that's all right. But I'm not, gonna promote them if I can promote you, because I love you.
Well, that's so sweet to me. Thank you.
So what are you working on at the moment? Are you just so crammed with all of my books, or are you working on something as well?
Well, at the end of last year, I was listening to this podcast that was talking about leading with love and just giving things back. And that really resonated with me. I've been super lucky in both my editing and my writing career. I say lucky, but I definitely do a lot of hard work as well. Yeah. I know that's a bit of an art. But I really love the idea of giving something back, because I feel so stoked to be working in an industry that I love. So from the editing side, I ran a free challenge in January, the 30-day author business challenge, which we had around 400 people sign up for. And I sent out daily emails with little challenges of things they could do within roughly 10 minutes of each day that would help them work on their author business. Because so often we get caught up in the writing and hitting those deadlines and those word counts, but we forget to address the business side of things. So that went really well, and it was really nice to be able to give something back to the community. And I had some people say that, they found that to be such a game changer. So I feel really, really happy with that. And then what I'm working on now from a writing perspective, which is what I'm segging into here, I wanted to do something similar for my writing business. And so I've been writing a novella called All Your Pieces, which I'll be giving away for free. And that will be out in about a month, I believe, in what are we in now, May? Yep, so that'll be out in early June.
Yeah.
And then I'm also working on a book called How We Collide, which I've been doing for a few years. And both of these are small coastal romances, so small town coastal romances. So they've sort of got that rural vibe. They're just set on the beach.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? Oh, fantastic. Oh, that sounds really exciting. And yeah, so you're definitely keeping busy. I know you've got 2 small kids as well. And I know it's hard to fit it, mum of 4 here. I know it's hard to fit everything in. So, well, where can we find you online and keep up with everything that you're doing?
Sure, you can find out more about my writing stuff at laurenkmckellar.com. That's McKellar with an AR. And as for my author services, you can find out more at creatinginc.com.
Excellent. And I'd just like to thank you so much for everything that you've done to help me in my career, and everything that that you do and help us with all these books and courses and things. So thank you so much for joining me today.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Jump onto my website, sarahwilliamsauthor.com, and join my mailing list to receive a free preview of my books and lots of other inspiration. If you like the show and want it to continue, you can become a sponsor for just a couple of dollars a month. Go to patreon.com/sarahwilliamsauthor. And remember to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a review of the podcast. I'll be back next week with another loved up episode. Bye!